Hello and welcome to the next Playing Alone Together series. I'm Sean. It's me doing this one with friends. Obviously, this one is me just doing this alone. We're gonna start up a new campaign. So, Playing Alone Together is my Arkham Solo series where I play true solo, generally with other people on stream with me. Though scheduling gets tricky sometimes. It might actually just be me doing true solo, and God help us when it is. But today, I would like to figure out what campaign I'm going to play. I have pinned a little straw poll in the chat. So if you have not voted already, go vote for your top three choices. Right now, the ones that are in the lead, because I pre-posted this in our Discord, the ones that are in the lead are the ones that I was kind of hoping would win. So it's Return to the Circle Undone and The Edge of the Earth, last I checked. And I believe that both of those campaigns remain unrepresented on our YouTube and Twitch channel playthroughs, so that's perfect. However, I'm willing to be swayed if a last minute vote here changes the results. So go ahead and get out there and throw some votes down. In the meantime, we're going to talk about what deck I'm going to play. And obviously, we'll have to pick the campaign before I finalize that deck list, because in True Solo, you're definitely going to want to build in some tech for the campaign. But I think we can generally get started on the deck I'm going to be playing, because while last time I had my weird trying to prove a point about the Scarlet Keys hand mystic assets that came with the Mina deck, that Duke deck, I was really just trying to prove a point. It was a cute deck, not necessarily one that I would recommend for true solo for a really good time, unless you two are trying to prove a point. Before this series, I don't even know if I want to say majority, but I want to say at least half of the true solo games I've played have been with my pet investigator, my Arkham waifu, one Diana Stanley. And I have a basic skeleton for what I like for solo Diana. I'd like to get a campaign in with that deck on stream, so that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. I feel very similarly toward Parallel Agnes, but that's a little farther out there, and I still haven't tested her in True Solo on my own yet, so who knows? We might get there eventually. But I want to build a Diana deck. So let's talk a little bit about Diana. As you do. Okay, so Diana. She's got what I would call on any other investigator lackluster stats, and it makes playing solo with her, I think, interesting. She tends to be a second half investigator, in my experience. So I've talked about this before, and I think even with the current slew of releases and things that have come out, I don't think this has changed. There is, at the core of any Diana build, there are kind of two ways you can go with it. There is the quick willpower Diana, where you very quickly, as fast as you can, just throw out as many cancels, regardless of how effective the cancel is and how much it's saving you from, to try to get Diana to her max willpower so that you can just play her like a normal mystic. And she runs, really efficiently at that point at 6 and 3s, and you can boost tests as needed. But that type of build tries to get Diana to her max willpower as quickly as possible. And then there is the slow willpower Diana, which tends to be the one I would favor in true solo, where you actually do try to use, well, you don't try, you build the deck to use her real stats in the early game at the very least, and then, her high willpower will bring you home at the end of the game. So that's the core of the build that I'm going to be going for here. Now, there are a fair few new cards. I don't think I've actually built this out since the Scarlet Keys dropped. So there are probably some new cards I want to consider. And even within that idea of, slow will Diana, where you're definitely still doing Diana things. You're packing cancels. You're planning to get to 6 willpower by the end of the game. There are many ways you can go with that. Part of me wants to like do the cheeky blessed thing. I don't know if you guys know the weirdness that is Diana's interaction with the sacred covenant. Part of me really wants to lean into that a little bit. So Diana says that after a card you own cancels or ignores a card effect or game effect, place that card face down beneath her, draw one card, gain one resource. And the sacred covenant. After an investigator at any location performs the reveal, and you get a blessed token. Return any number of blessed tokens to the cast bag, ignoring their modifiers. So that's the key piece there. So you're ignoring a game effect, the blessed tokens modifiers. Since this is a permanent card, you can't stack it underneath her. And then, rather not then, draw one card and gain one resource. Since the word then is not there, you kind of just get to draw a card and gain a resource whenever you proc that effect. And it continues to happen as long as you ride with 4 or fewer cards underneath Diana. It's pretty wild. Hey Bear, welcome. We are doing a solo Diana deck build. And I'm just kind of running through my thought process here. Now, I've had that deck, the Sacred Covenant Diana deck, that just spams, blesses, and gets tons of cards and resources. I've had that in mind since I learned about that interaction for a while. I've yet to actually pull the trigger on it. It seems, I'm not judging anyone, it's a little on the side of cheese for me. I do want to struggle a little bit. Maybe you still do with that one, but I'm kind of leaning not bless for this one. So I don't know. Let's just kind of run through things slot by slot. Oh, there's enough Diana to go around, Big Kahuna. That's no worries. I'm a sharer. It's cool. So now the one thing I really love about Diana in True Solo. Well, let's start with one of the things that I hate about True Solo is that the true randomness of the encounter deck can really just bone you. If you get like an enemy early, or if you even get like a second enemy too quickly after your first enemy and before you've like recharged or got your solutions back online, it can just snowball and get away from you so quickly. And then on the other side of things, if you pack too much enemy tech in your deck, and you're sitting on a 3 shroud location with Diana with 3 intellect and none of your clue or intellect things have come up, then that's a bad time too. So my first interest in this Diana deck is to make sure that we have a good mix of reliable and varied clue, intellect, and enemy tech. So let's just kind of run through. Well, let's see here. I'm in the spells. Who needs them camp? Yeah, I mean that's honestly the slow will Diana build that I kind of talked about at the beginning is lighter on spells, because in general, aside from Spectral Razor and Read the Signs, which are A+ cards, S tier cards anyway, doubly so in Diana, because they use the actual stat, and then you just get bonus willpower, so you can use them from the jump. And they're good, but then they get even better once you get more cards under Diana. It's pretty great. Okay, so let's do this way. Let's look at assets first. So, solo Diana. One of the main things that I really enjoy, I think, in every campaign other than the Scarlet Keys, where my ally was Alex Luxley to get that little quick ping on decoys. Alyssa Graham, A+ S tier solo ally, doubly so in Diana because she gives you the intellect boost, and then she takes, much like Gloria, she takes the mystery out of the encounter deck. When you can just look at the top card of the encounter deck, regardless of whether you ever add the Doom to get rid of it, which sometimes you will, but even if you never do that, simply knowing what the next encounter card is going to be takes a huge amount of difficulty and planning mystery and chance out of the game. And while on one hand I would argue that makes the game less interesting, this is also true solo, and I do just want to have a chance to win. So Alyssa Graham, is going to be our primary ally here. And then in this build, I generally have a second cheap ally to do a couple things. Diana's got a kind of a fat deck, so in a lot of games you want to see your primary ally early if you can. Getting a second ally in there helps that with making sure you see it early. And then the second piece is with Alyssa, if you ever do see a really crappy encounter card that you want to put on the bottom and just not have to deal with, you do it. But then having a second ally to kick Alyssa out and save you a full turn on Doom can be very, very clutch. So I'm kind of between. I've run this a couple different ways. That second ally has generally been... Where you at, my friend? Our Lord and Savior, David Renfield. Mm-hmm. And I know that probably surprises no one. I mean, look, if any of you here have listened to me talk about Arkham Horror at all, which I assume at least a few of you have, very few things in this build are going to surprise you. So David's in there pretty high. I have also run this with Arcane Initiate, but that's more on the fast willpower side. So I don't think that's the way I want to go for this one. Alice is another option. She's expensive though, and she's not the kind that I would like to just pay 1 or 2 resources and kick Alyssa out to save the Doom. Let me revisit this thought. Let me see what other options are actually out there now. Adventurer, no. Tetsuo is a maybe. He's a little expensive, but with this deck I will be relying more on items than on spells for at least the level 0 build. Olive, pretty okay as an option. She's cheap. She could kick Alyssa out. And then in addition, when you are hard up for cancels, you can actually put Olive under Diana. So that's up there too. Guard Dog, yep. Not a bad call. A little, I really want that kick out ally to be on the cheaper side since Alyssa's so expensive. So that one's kind of getting in there. Familiar Spirit, man. Greta is crazy expensive. I'm not even looking at that. So I'm between David, Initiate, and Olive. As all mystics generally are. So I think... You know what? We're going to put Olive and David in there for now, and we will see what the rest of the deck looks like. If I do have some things that would benefit from token filtering, we'll probably keep Olive in there at the end, but ultimately it's going to depend. Okay, cool. Let's look at hand slots. Anyone else? Is it just me, Alyssa? What is your favorite Diana level 0 ally? Alyssa and David? Probably. I'm certainly willing to hear dissent. Now I know it sounds like I have this deck already built in my head, but honestly, if you guys have ideas, throw them out there because I'm not opposed to taking good ideas and pretending that I had them. Okay, so. Yeah, Renfield, Alyssa. Yeah, it's probably going to be those two, honestly, but we'll see. I have accepted David Renfield as my Mystic Lord and Savior. Yes, that's perfect. And since he got, reasonably tabooed, perfect. I honestly feel like that's where he needed to land. It's totally fine that a level 0 card has an upper limit, so it doesn't get crazy. But, I don't know. If you're riding more than 3 Doom on Renfield, you're doing something wacky, so... I don't know. Okay, let's talk enemy management. Weapon-wise, I'm kind of all over the place. I tend toward Enchanted Blade in a lot of level 0 builds. Now, Enchanted Blade taking up that arcane slot can be an issue, but as I said, this build tends not to care about that. You want to actually use your combat early game, and then late game you can talk about it, but just the ability, comparing Enchanted Blade to Machete, for instance, I think it's worth the arcane slot, and I think it's worth the charges to be able to go up to 5. And like, getting from 4 to 5 is really great. And then in addition, since it looks like, let me double check here. Let me double check before I say it. Since it looks like we're doing TCU, it is going to be super clutch to have relics to kill enemies with. But let's see. Yeah, if anyone has joined recently, check the pinned comment. We're gonna see what campaign we're actually playing against. And where are you? There you are. Let me see our results here. Ooh, Edge of the Earth is edging out Return to TCU. All right, we'll see. We'll see. I voted for Vanilla TFA. You can put more than one vote in. I allowed 3 votes. So we can do kind of a spread shot there. Vanilla TFA. I have done Vanilla TFA with Diana, and it's doable. It's doable. Lots of cancels in TFA is a nice thing to have. Okay, so Enchanted Blade is kind of the hope for this level 0 deck. Like, this is what you want to see in your opening hand. But obviously, I think I'm going to need at least 2 other weapons to make sure that I have something to do. So let's... What is it? It's a trait, right? Weapon. Ooh, if I can spell it. Okay, so... The Wicked Athame. Yeah, no, I'm not doing Cursed. I'm not doing Cursed. Runic X is okay. I do think I'm going to be using Flashlight in this level 0 build. Don't judge me. So the double-handed ones are a little bit harder to stomach. I might throw Machete in. We'll see how it goes. Trench Knife and Kukri. All right, Big Kahuna. I see your game. You want to knock me off the edge of the earth, don't you? Blessed Blade, as I was talking about that Blessed build, it's tempting. I really don't know if I want to do it. We'll see. 45 and I don't know. 45 and Machete are easy ones to go with. We'll see if it sticks. Level 0 is a little rough if you don't want to go two-handed, so. Okay. Now, let's talk clue assets. So, you know what's crazy is every time I do one of these live deck builds, I feel like most of the time my dead air is just like me scrolling through this long ass list. I even have this like cut down to assets, and it's this long. It's so crazy now. I honestly, all right, here we go, chat. This is a good question for y'all. What are we looking at? Wolf Mask or Cat Mask? I'm gonna do just a one of because I don't want to see a second one. So Wolf Mask replenishes when you engage an enemy, and it gives you the enemy management skills. Those are both good. And then Cat Mask, where'd you go? Cat Mask replenishes fully when you get Doom on a card with no Doom, and you get either combat or willpower. The Cat Mask, I agree, Big Kahuna really plays with the Doom play that I'm going to have in this deck. And even if you don't have any additional Doom play, this resets every agenda. So, like, that's fun. The thing is, the willpower boost is going to be, I don't know, I'm kind of between the two, because having an option to hit an agility test is going to be valuable. There's the occasional moment where you are going to want to just evade an enemy or hit an agility test on a treachery. And I can tell you from experience that this deck is going to struggle for pulling those icons together. So that's the argument for Wolf Mask. Obviously, if you just look at, pure synergies, the Cat Mask is the way to go. So I think I'm going to put one of each in for now, and then almost definitely one will get cut at the end, but we're going to have to see what the rest of them look like. Okay. All right, so additional clue gathering things. Agility is a dump stat, but it's a dump stat, unfortunately, you occasionally need to use in true solo. I agree. It's one of the main reasons I don't like True Solo as much, is it like just makes me do all the things that all the rogue players kind of talk about. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so for clue tech, I love Dowsing Rod in True Solo, as we've mentioned. In Diana, this gets particularly good. It's expensive, which I don't hate, or which I don't love. But what's great about it is it gets you to a 4 intellect by itself, just on naked Diana, and then as soon as your willpower gets past your intellect, you can switch to willpower and you're just going. In addition, we've got more potential Doom play here. As you saw with my with my Duke run through, this can be kind of a fun thing to do where, you know, in the witching hour you can just like zoom around a couple times. I won't have the cool readying ability that Duke had with this one, so it's not going to be quite as fun. But I think Dowsing Rod's a really good option without uses to get some clues. Yeah, I'm putting Flashlight in this deck. Sue me. It's fine. It'll be fine. It's level 0. We're going to have better options later on, I promise. Greta would get you clues, but I don't think we're going to do that. Boy. I'm thinking level 0 Sixth Sense, maybe. That one I'm kind of up in the air on. Yeah, Mirror's going to go in. I guess I might as well do that now. I'm trying to stick to clue stuff at the moment, but Mirror's definitely going in, especially if this ends up being Edge or TCU. Living Ink will probably go in. I don't know. That might be just a cheap way to get an additional intellect, which I'm going to need. Let's see. If I take the flashlights, I keep them to the finale. Yeah, maybe. I could definitely be persuaded to upgrade the flashlights. I think level 3 flashlight is a very reasonable card for its cost. You know, for a random investigator who doesn't have many better options. All right, we'll throw Sixth Sense in there, but that's kind of marginal. I'd much rather that be something like Divination, but you know, that requires XP, and I don't know if I want to take in the thick of it. We'll see. I don't know. It's Diana. She's pretty hardy. I might be convinced. Candles aren't bad in Edge since it makes Frost token 0. Okay, yeah, I could see that. And if I end up going with Olive for my cheaper ally, that gets better. Throw those in for now. St. Hubert's Key has an appeal, but we're getting to the point where we have a lot of setup for cost, and then it also fights the mirror, so I don't think we're going to do that. Yeah, boy, we're going to have to rely a lot on good icons and events for clue gathering, because that's pretty lean. Yeah, I love the key, Big Kahuna. It's a great card, but I think in this deck, since Alyssa is a staple, and I really do think Dowsing Rod is solid in Diana and Solo, I think putting one more 4-cost asset in here is just going to make setup way too cumbersome before I get rolling. And Mystics struggle with that shit anyway, so, like, that's tough. Okay. Let's talk cancels. That's probably the first thing I should have done with Diana. Let's talk some cancels. Okay, so I've got some cancels that I throw in every single Diana deck without looking. Probably most of you do too. So that's Deny Existence. That's Dodge. I'm usually one of on Delay the Inevitable. Sometimes it comes out, but I find it's a really good kind of utility way to block something big. And then in addition, it has icons that I often struggle for in Diana. Dark Prophecy is another one. This is one that's on the margins. This is one that goes in 1000% of the time when I'm doing fast willpower and I'm just trying to get to 6. when you're going slow willpower and you kind of want every cancel to actually be meaningful, this one kind of, like, I don't know, it gets you a skull most of the time. I know, Chad, that's what I said. I should have done it first. Yeah, see, Big Kahuna, same deal. Now, what I really wish is that we had like a level 0 I've had worse that just cancels one thing, because that would be great. That would be so cool, and it's great in Diana. And level 2 I've had worse in Diana Stanley is money in the most literal sense. And then, now for doing TCU, I get to count read the signs as a cancel. I get to count read the signs as a cancel because it will cancel haunted. Or sorry, it will ignore haunted. But I don't know, we'll see. Ward of protection, obviously. And yeah, I want to say for kind of this like more slow willpower Diana, that's about where I sit for cancels. Big Kahuna, that's a really good question, honestly. I always assumed that it ignores haunted, but I guess haunted technically doesn't trigger unless you would fail. And if you're playing read the signs, you rarely fail because it's a big skill test, but it does happen. In addition, I think TCU, even beyond haunted, has a fair few effects that just happen when you investigate. But I don't know. I guess we'll see to that when it happens. All right. So, what? Any other cancels you guys think I'm like straight up missing? Those are kind of the ones. Like Eldritch Inspiration is fine if you're doing a lot of token filtering, but I don't think there's going to be room in the deck in true solo. But I will hear dissent if there's anything I'm obviously missed. There's nothing on the skills anymore, right? Like level 0, Delve can cancel the rest of the scenario. True. Unfortunately, I can't stack it under Diana. Like I want Defiance to work, level 0 Defiance anyway, to work better in Diana than it does, but I guess that's going to depend on whether I keep Dark Prophecy in there, and then like Defiance is really only going to work when I've got Dark Prophecy or I've got, you know, if I keep Olive and she's out, so it's just become such a marginal card at level 0. I don't really put that one in. Hand of Fate if you want the blade. You know what? I think at this point, just given where this is going, I am going to nix the Blessed. I'm just going to straight up say I'm not doing Blessed. So, sorry, Blessed Blade. Someday. I think if I ever do another multiplayer Diana build on stream, that's the one I'm going to go with, because that'll feel better to just be flooding the bag with blesses and keeping them in and drawing cards and getting resources. In solo, I don't think it's going to get off the ground fast enough to really work. So we're going to throw, you know what, while we're on skills, let's just look at skills. Daring. Daring generally goes in any Diana deck until otherwise notified for a few reasons. A, the card draw is not conditional. You just get the card draw. B, the retaliate and alert means less for Diana because I'm running cancels and dodge and deny and have many ways to mitigate that. And then further still, Daring gives you wild icons. It's not combat and agility, it's wild icons. So if we get to a point where we're pivoting to willpower, Daring still works. Just A+ card in Diana. That's staying. Olive, Blurst, and Voice of Ra is very nice. I agree. And then in addition, Dark Prophecy can add on to that too. And then you get another cancel and another card and another resource. Diana Blurst is fun. Chaotic, but fun. Let's see. think beyond that, obviously, we're going to throw in perceptions. We're going to throw in promise of power because in true solo, it's so nice just to be able to juice a test that's important when you need to. And I think we're going to go vicious blow for those moments where our shit gets weird and we need an extra damage. Overpower, you think? Possibly. We'll throw it in. I'm not going to say no. I think daring kind of an overpower fight for the same spot, and daring's more flexible, so that's why I go that way, but we'll see. And yes, more card draw is never a bad thing. All right, I'm feeling pretty good on the skill selection here. Let's dive into events to find some other clue acquisition because I'm gonna need it. Let's do scene of the crime. Great way to just snipe a clue. It's not the cheapest, but it's really good. And I think in true solo, there's a very good argument for it. Task force, string of curses. Evidence, maybe. Evidence has 2 intellect icons, right? Yeah, we'll throw that in there. So we've got read the signs. I think I definitely want to do drawn to the flame, of course. Oh, here, sorry, I won't skip ahead. This is my problem. Like I try to build on stream the way I build when it's just me, and I can barely follow myself when I do that. So let's stick to the list here. Storm. Storm is an interesting proposition. This is one I normally fit at least one of in every mystic because it's just going to come up. But it's hard with Diana. We're gonna do one for now. It's hard with Diana because, you know, that moment might come up and you might even have Storm in your hand. But if you just got your weakness and you're low on willpower or you haven't got set up, it's way more marginal. Spectral Razor. That goes in for sure. You know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I think I might bend this deck a little bit more toward token manipulation. Because when I upgrade Spectral Razor and read the signs, if I can reliably see symbol tokens when I do those cards, that gets immensely better in true solo. And I think I like that idea. So I think Olive is going to be our ally, our cheap ally. I think that's the call. Diana, I generally am taking prepared for the worst. True solo, you definitely do not want to be without a weapon. Diana has a little bit of defense for those early enemies, or I guess early encounter cards that might bog you down since you get oh god, what's her signature? What's it called? Dark Insight. There we go. Since you get Dark Insight, you kind of get a free redo button basically with Diana. But ultimately, I really like Prepared for the Worst because A, it's got good icons. If I see it late, I'm not sad because I'm going to use those icons. And then B, if I get to a place where I've got my events, I've got clue power on lock for, you know, however I'm doing it, finding Diana's Twilight Blade is really clutch and can be super, super good in, you know, the second half of a game. I'm looking at Premonition since I'm looking at token manipulation. We will see. That's one that I stay in, and it's good, and it takes a lot of wasted resources out of a potentially good token pool. But also it gets cut a lot lately because I ran it so much earlier in my Arkham life. I think I'm a little light on economy. What do you guys think for economy? I think Voice of Ra is a good contender since I am leaning toward the token manipulation, so we'll throw that in there. I think I'll hop up here and just throw cash in just because that'll definitely get replaced with I've Had It Worse later on. Yeah, backpack. I'm actually with Big Kahuna on that one. I think backpack 2 is a phenomenal card. I think backpack 1, or sorry, backpack 0, um, is a little lackluster in a bigger deck. Especially you only see 6 cards. I'm gonna have a lot of events in this deck. Like it's gonna be a little bit harder to grab things with backpack 0. Parallel Fates. Ooh, Parallel Fates in True Solo seems pretty okay. But I almost wonder if that's overkill with Alyssa. We'll throw it in, but I'm already thinking it's probably going to get cut. Which is the type of card you should probably train yourself not to throw in the deck, but we'll see. Only Parallel Fates 2. Yeah, that is the one thing. Is like, I don't know. Parallel Fates is interesting, but it can be an absolute nothing burger if you see a symbol, and that's no fun. Hypnotic Gaze. Oh, Hypnotic Gaze. That might be. I'm a one of just for now. I might hold off until I can afford the upgraded version, but since I am going token manipulation, it could be good. Let's see. Oh, Guided by Faith. This is a new one. What do you do? Okay, so this is one that may let me use willpower if it's advantageous, so that's good. No. Good in a blessed build, but since we're not doing that, not so much. Not so much. Just gonna do that. Just gonna do that, and I know there are those that will judge me for it, but it's fine. It's fine. Ethereal Slip is one of those cards where I've had like 3 or 4 really cool moments with it, and it's enough to make me go to chase that dragon. Drain Essence. Ooh. That's interesting. Oh, Drain Essence just makes me want to play Parallel Agnes, but I don't think it's going to be reliable enough for this deck. Just because I'm not going to be able to count on having good willpower until like halfway into the game, probably, for most scenarios. Solo Hank, yeah. Solo Hank is you take in the thick of it and you get to assistant mode as quickly as you can so that you have, enough intellect to do something. Speculation. I've never run Solo Hank. Bolas. Do like a single astral travel in solo because sometimes you just need to bamf across the map. Depending on if we're end up playing Edge or not, that might get cut, but we'll see. Antediluvian Hymn. Okay, this is one that I haven't played with yet, so let's see. 2 actions, 2 costs. Reveal the top 5 cards in the encounter deck for each card revealed. You may add a curse token to the bag to place that card on top of the encounter deck and return the rest in any order. Okay. That's way better than Parallel Fates, I think, but in True Solo, 2-cost double action is really slow. I rule too slow. Gavel noise. Let me handle this. No. Okay. Well, we've got 68 cards. Let's do some chopping. Well, okay, before we do any chopping, let's make a final determination on what campaign we're playing. That's here. And live results. Survey says it's Edge of the Earth by 1 vote. By 1 vote, Edge of the Earth. Okay, cool. Well, that still sits as probably my favorite campaign in the game, so I can't say I'm sad about it. Okay, so Edge of the Earth. Big maps. I almost wonder if it's worth I almost wonder if it's worth doing the gate in Ice and Death. Good job, Schultze. You did your civic duty today. Open gate. Open gate. That's what it's called. We're going to throw that in for now. We're going to ethereal slip to the full, and we're going to astral travel to the full, and we'll kind of decide which ones we actually end up keeping in. But true solo, Edge of the Earth, my first and most prominent thought is, oh my god, there are so many locations to go to in Ice and Death. That's going to be a problem. So there we go. That's our solution, is our funny little mystic events. I voted for this Discord server. You know what? We might make these Twitch polls more of a thing, and if we do, that is a way to go. Okay, so we ultimately landed on more token filtering for this build. So Renfield, my love, my boyfriend if I had one, he's out. Olive's in. She has all of my love for this campaign. Okay, so that being said, flashlight and dowsing rod absolutely stay. I need those in there because early clues are going to be really rough in this campaign. If anything takes me out, it's going to be struggling for early clues and not being able to catch up in the late game, and I know that from the get-go. You know, the argument for ritual candles was good. If I didn't need my hand slots for literally winning the game, it would stay in. But I feel like a weapon and a dowsing rod or a flashlight is the way to go. So I think ritual candles goes. And I think beyond that, my hand slots look pretty good. This is going to be a little hard to chop the rest of this down. Mirror stays in. 6 cents goes out. It goes out. This is a Diana deck that is not going to have a single spell arcane asset. How's that for wacky? Okay, yep. Wolf over cat. You know what? Let's do another poll, guys. Let's do another poll. I've made my argument for wolf mask, and there is a good argument for cat mask. So, oh wait, how does this work? Poll. Create new poll. All right. Wolf mask or cat mask, go. And again, the idea is that wolf mask gives me access to that agility boost that I don't really have anywhere else, which in Edge of the Earth, I argue, is going to be more important than it would have been in Return to Circle Undone. But cat mask is not bad either. Your Kohaku deck had 0 spell assets. Yeah, I do. I really, really enjoy that we moved to a place where kind of event-heavy or event-based mystics are viable and have a wide variety of options. It's pretty great. I hate that I changed my mind, but Edge may be wolf time. That's kind of where I'm at. And, you know, changing your mind upon receiving better evidence or more information is never a bad thing. What do we got? Wolf is in the lead, 4-1. I do think it's the way to go. Edge does have long agendas, so the cat mask will refill more often. Agreed. I mean, wolf mask is just like anytime you engage an enemy, which is going to happen a lot in solo. So there's that too. All right. While that goes on, I think 20 assets seems pretty heavy, but I don't know what I'd take out. Mirrors really good. Living Ink. Let's talk about it. It's for intellect because I need it. And that's it. That's it. I'm hoping that between Alyssa and living ink and flashlight and dowsing rod that I can regularly get to an effective 5 intellect before I do any committing. And you know, for solo purposes, I feel like that's a bare minimum. All right, let's see how the poll did. Final poll, Wolf Mask pulls ahead with 67% of the vote. So there we be. And I agree. You guys are wise. So I'm sorry, Cat Mask. I do quite like you, but you're out for this one. And all right, 19 assets. We can live with it for now. We're really gonna have to cut down some other stuff here. Okay, so God, look at all those events. Those are so many events. I'm benching the cat. Yep. 11 hand assets does seem heavy, Big Kahuna, but when I need them to do literally anything... Well, you know what? I always forget that the Enchanted Blade is down here. So between Machete and 45, I feel like I could drop one of those. Machete, of course, always reliable. Turns off a little bit when enemies stack up, as they will in at least Ice and Death and beyond. 45 uses. It's more expensive. It is more reliable and not conditional on damage, so I do like it for that at least. And back in the day, I did enjoy that leveled up 45 is great for Diana, because anytime you hit Retaliate, you could potentially stack it. That's fun. +1 to Bandolier. Bandolier? You guys know this is going to be a slow deck, right? I'm way more in the mind of dropping hand assets rather than finding more hands. All right. You know what? Just for the sake of assuaging how bad this curve is going to get on 4-cost cards, let's drop the 45. We'll deal with the Machete. We are Blade build Diana. I feel at 17 assets, that's a good number. That's a good number for a 35 card deck. I think I can live with that. A 35 card deck that needs setup to get operating. Okay. Let's chop down these freaking events. There's so many. Okay, so let's decide first on mobility. Ethereal Slip is, I think, a better pull, and it does amazing things in multiplayer if you're paying attention. But I think in solo, I'm not going to be... Ideally, I'm not playing an evade build where I'm leaving a lot of enemies on the board to play around with, I hope. So I think that one's not the option. I do love Mage Knight Diana. That is one of my favorites. Open Gate versus Astral Travel. Open Gate is going to be really good for Ice and Death specifically. And I think once we move from Ice and Death... But yeah, here's the other thing, is Open Gate's really good. It's fast, it's cheap, has no downside other than like needing to draw more than one. But it requires you have opened the map. And I guess you could say the same thing about Astral Travel, since that has to be to a revealed location too. Man, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point, Big Kahuna. Like, especially with Ice and Death. Oh, yeah. Okay, between parts, Ice and Death, the locations remain revealed, and I think that's going to be what pushes me out of Open Gate and into Astral Travel. So I'm keeping 2 Astral Travel in here, baby. Okay, we're getting there. All right, so looking at clue grabbing, We got Drawn to the Flame. We've got Evidence. Parallel Fates we dropped. We discussed this. That shouldn't even be in here. We've got Scene of the Crime, and we've got Read the Signs. Scene of the Crimes, no test, doesn't care about Shroud. I think in solo, even for 2 costs, it's very good. And, obviously when you've got an enemy there, it's even better. Read the Signs, stays in for sure. That's just going to get you clues. So between Drawn to the Flame, Evidence, what else did I just say? I just said the words. Is it just Drawn to the Flame and Evidence that's left? I think I got to stick with Drawn to the Flame because Evidence requires that I beat an enemy where there is a clue. Oh, Open Gate for... McDog, you make a good argument for Open Gate for the Forbidden Peaks. Although, I will say, Astral Travel does the same thing as long as the locations are revealed. So there's that. Diana just cancels that one. Ideally, yes. I'm hoping that for the time we get to the Forbidden Peaks, I can get a couple of good cancels under Diana and then get her Twilight Blade down, because that'll be some good insurance, but we'll see. Okay, so getting down to brass tacks, I think between Drawn to the Flame and Evidence, Drawn to the Flame's less conditional, and I'm pretty confident that I can deal with most encounter cards, so Evidence goes. Premonition. Let me think through the token manipulation that I'm doing here. So like I said earlier on, the main thing that I want to do... Explosive Ward. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Explosive Ward is worth it for 2 damage. If I were doing the thing where I expand how many arcane slots I have and I can get more damage out of it, I would agree. But since I have Enchanted Blade that's going to be taking up 1 anyway, yeah, I don't know if that is worth it. Okay, let's. I don't think Premonition is really going to do anything meaningful for me with what I'm doing with token manipulation, aside from just make me feel warm and fuzzy, because I know I'm not gonna, I will fail or not, I guess. I think I'm pulling Premonition out. Ward stays. Voice with Olive. Voice can stay. Yeah, no, I agree, Bear. Oh, we're getting marginal to the point where I think I might have to cut prepared for the worst. Just to trust how much draw and how much diversity I have in the deck and just go with it, unfortunately. Premonition and Edge always grabs a Frost token. Exactly. Okay. Yep. Now I feel even better about my decision. Yeah, you do need a weapon. Your first enemy that you draw, you can Dark Insight away, so you have a little bit of cushion. But I've got Machete, I've got Enchanted Blade. Oh, is that really all I've got left? And I've got Read the Signs. All right, fine. Prepared for the Worst stays in as extra copies of weapons. Fine. Okay, so I think Voice of Ra gets better later on when I've upgraded Olive, which I intend to do. So I think that stays. So I think, I mean, beyond the 3 and 4 costs, the big ones, I think my curve is not the worst. It could definitely be better. All right, let's cut some 3s. Hypnotic Gaze, that's marginal. Storm of Spirits, that's marginal. Is cash something I actually need? And further, Dark Prophecy. In a slow willpower build, what am I actually going to use this on? I could use it on Voice of Ra, but that seems only all right. I guess it would be there for when I eventually upgrade Spectral Razor and Voice of Ra. Do we think I cut cash? I think I might cut cash. Because at least with Diana, when you're getting cancels out, she gets some, if not all, of the cost back on resources. So I think cash goes. Hopping down to ye old skills, I do think Overpower needs to go just because Daring is doing the same thing. I almost wonder if Vicious Blow is worth keeping in true solo. Probably. I won't cut it. I know someone's screaming at their screen right now. Okay. Oh man, these cuts are getting brutal, guys. Give me ideas. I still need to cut 12 cards. Oh no. Living. Okay, we're just gonna cut. Delay the inevitable. All right. Real talk with me. I can take it. Is Living Ink worth it for, an intellect boost? I think so, because I think that's like one of the key things I'm going to be digging for all the time. Big Kahuna says, cut one prepared for the worst. Yeah, possibly. Okay, so if I'm looking at the cancels I have, I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 to 9 to 12 cancels, depending on how generous you're willing to be with what constitutes a cancel. I think Dark Prophecy can go. I think it can go. I think it has to go. All right. Maybe one Astral Travel. Oh, God, I know. Normally I would, but Ice and Death scares the shit out of me in true solo. I'm hoping Dowsing Rod can help out a little bit there. I'm trying to remember how many agendas the first two versions of Ice and Death has. Okay. I mean, we have to get brutal here. We have to get brutal. So, to that end, I think I gotta cut Drawn to the Flame, because I'm just gonna get to my other stuff faster. Those two will get me card draw. I still gotta cut 7 cards. Is it Mirror? No, I want to keep Mirror in there because it's so good. All right, fine. I'll cut 1 prepared for the worst. I'll cut an Astral Travel and pray that I don't find myself begging for one. All right, come on. We can do this. 5 cards. 5 cards still? How is it still 5 cards? This doesn't even feel like that big a deck. Man, I don't even feel like I can touch my events at this point. How many... Let me ask this question, because I know Scott and I go back and forth on this a lot, but like, how many skills do you guys find yourself running in true solo? Scott's argument is that it should be higher, in particular because those cantrip core set skills are so efficient. 8 min. This is my problem. I enjoy setup decks. Okay, you know what? To that end, I'm going to nix Living Ink. It's gone. I don't need another thing to play down. I need more actions doing things. How are we looking here? That's a lot more palatable of a cost curve. Yeah, I think Vicious Blow is on the chopping block for me too. That will get us down to 6 skills, but that's kind of why I asked. I'm just trying to think, because if I'm keeping Spectral Razor, that's a 3 pop for the majority of things. Now, you don't like 6 skills, but you have to remember this is Diana Stanley, who draws a lot of cards because of her ability. So I think if there's an argument to be made, I don't know, I got to get down to 30. I got to get down to 35 cards, so it's got to happen one way or another here. Lose 1 razor. Oh. So I'm fine with my skills. I need the perception. Daring is just like I said earlier, is an all-purpose wonderful card. Promise of Power are going to be great for just juicing any given test that I need to be able to hit. So I'm feeling comfortable with my skills. So I think the way to go. Yeah. Yeah, good point, McDog. There are a lot of enemies that punish you for taking multiple hits on them or leaving them around too long. So I do think the razors are better now that Vicious Blow is out. Man, do I drop down to 1 olive? That's going to give me less ability to use Alyssa's Doom ability to bury things, but like I said, she's more about seeing things than actually burying them. There are, with Diana, there are a few things that you actually need to bury. Hopefully you just cancel them. I don't know what else I would cut elsewhere, except for Prepared for the Worst, but that scares me too. How are we doing on skill icons? Yeah, see, told you. My agility icons are terrible. Wolf Mask is going to be clutch. Okay, well, I am going... See, here's the thing. Between Read the Signs and Scene of the Crime, I'd rather drop Scene down to 1. Because at least Read the Signs more reliably gets me 2 clues, which at least in Ice and Death, where you kind of have to like slurp up a bunch of clues, is going to be way more valuable. I think I go down to 1 olive. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think I go down to 1 olive. Okay. I mean, I like both. I feel like the biggest thing this deck is going to struggle with is to make sure I get off the ground getting clues early. So both Scene and Read the Signs are going to be very clutch in that regard. So I think keeping both of them is the way to go. I'm going to drop 1 olive because I don't expect to be using Alyssa's Doom ability often. So it's not like I always need to have an olive in my hand ready to kick her out. Olive's just going to be maybe the one I draw first before I find Alyssa, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I think a 1 olive is the way to go. I don't need 2 because I don't plan to take charisma with this deck, I don't think. Okay, well. Diana on the edge. Lovely. So here we go. This is I like how this turned out. Those cuts were really damn painful, but I feel like this deck is going to run pretty smoothly. So that's my Diana deck. Very much looking forward to this campaign. I was hoping it would be either Edge or TCU, so really, really not sad about it. Ooh, weakness. Okay, yeah, good call. Let's. We did say we were gonna do this on stream. Oh, and you know what? I'm even kick it to you guys. We'll do votes on every weakness I pull as to whether I keep or coward. So let me get this set up here. All right, we're gonna do these quick. So here we go. Random basic weakness 1 is paranoia. Ooh. Okay. Well, I guess that's certainly a weakness. That's one of the weaknesses. All right, here you go. 1 minute poll. Get in there. Does not mean guidelines. What guidelines? Wow, I typed the word coward and Twitch did not like that. I guess that's a little too disparaging. Even though I identify as a coward. But, you know, I guess we got to keep the platform safe. So the hoping for stubborn detective, that's such a terrible one in Diana. I mean, like a two health enemy is not terrible, but stubborn detective remains one of like thematically my favorite basic weaknesses in the game. It's so good. All right. Well, okay. So we are 100% throwing back paranoia. Campaign cards. Random basic weakness again. Here we go. I am a coward, and I reject my fate. Let's see number 2. Overzealous. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Overzealous. We're pulling really bad ones today. But I will keep it. I will keep it if... I will certainly make for some spicy turns, that's for sure. Hey, you're right. Stubborn Detective does blank everyone, which I thought is weird because like he's only after you, right? Like, all right, are we double cowarding? Here, let me throw this one out there. We'll do one more poll. I don't want this to go into eternity, but also I pulled two really bad weaknesses, so I'm not going to be sad if I have to see another one. Chad's chanting for doomed. Boy, it sure could happen. Boy, it sure could. Boy, I'm trying to think of what weaknesses I would even want for this deck. So I'm not playing multiplayer. I mean, I guess any of the Return to Carcosa hidden ones wouldn't be too bad. I guess the evade one I would struggle with, but... All right, survey says 80% says throw. All right, bye, Overzealous. I hardly knew you. One more time. Here we go. Into the breach. Self-centered. Oh, no, I have to throw that one back. That's multiplayer only. I wish. And offer you cannot refuse. Oh, no. Well, I will accept the court's decision. Boy, I can't pull a bum weakness today. This is just how it's going to go on stream, I think. This bodes very well for this campaign, I have to say. Also, I'm finding that I talk a lot This is a much longer stream than I expected it to be. Normally a deck build's like a half hour for me, but this was really rough. McDog, you can't refuse it. Well, we will see, won't we? And we say keep. Okay, well, we say keep. Well, guess what, guys? I have 2 experience to spend. I have 2 experience to spend, and that makes this build not quite done yet. So here we go. Yeah, we get encore bonus content here. We get to upgrade this deck with 2 XP. Let's do this and this. Part of me just wants to grab I've had worse straight out of the gate, because that helps me get more resources to help me with oh my god, I'm gonna get so screwed. I'm gonna have to use Alyssa to scribe my own deck way more often than I want to. I know it. Okay, what else? What I could take a play set of a few different things here. Add random basic weakness to your side deck. Oh, hey, that's a pro tip, Kahuna. So if you add it to your side deck, you can click it and it adds the regular basic weakness to your deck, and it doesn't delete it from the side deck. That is a pro tip. I will use that going forward. Okay, so I could grab a playset of Brand of Cthulhu or Divination, both of which I think are really great for Diana, because you get to use your better stat when her willpower sucks, and you get to use willpower when it's great. So those are high contenders. And Divination's nice because you can either 1 or 2 clue. Oh, that's pretty up. It's pretty up there. And then let's see here. What does Divination do if you succeed by 0? Discard a card from your hand. But it's not at random. All right, well, Divination's a pretty high contender. Ever Vigilant. One of my all-time faves. And then, of course, I've had worse. You know what? As I said, I expect to struggle the hardest with clues. So I think Divination is the one I'm really looking at here. And that, I believe, is going to go in for Flashlight. Beauty. And what I love about Divination and Brand, and it counts in solo more than anywhere else, is that you don't lose the charge if you don't get the clue. This gets you 4 clues. You might fail tests along the way, but this gets you 4 clues. So I really think that's the way to go. Excellent. Okay, now we're done. So, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to chat for helping me with this one. I think this would have been a 2-hour deck build if I had to sit here and hem and haw and make all these decisions on my own. So pay attention to the Discord. I'm in the process of lining up some really fun guests for this campaign's Playing Alone Together. So pay attention for that. I will do my bestest to get our sessions scheduled farther out ahead of time so that people can actually know when they are and show up for them. I know that's it's one of our biggest barriers to actually trying to build a consistent thing here, is just how bad we are at planning. So I'm going to get better about that. Check the Discord. We're going to post them as events. I will also try to update the schedule in Twitch. And yeah, so check that out if you haven't already. And thank y'all for joining us. We will see you for Ice and Death Part 1, baby.